So what we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to share my screen as we go into the I will days, is when there's so much to do. So sometimes when we're feeling excited or hopeful, it's because we have opportunities in front of us. We see all sorts of opportunities. And often when we're feeling tired and overwhelmed, it is also true that it's hard for us to figure out how to take advantage of all of those opportunities because there's just so much to do and maybe not the energy to capture it all. And what we teach with silver is that we want to align our actions to our results. That doesn't mean that we try to do absolutely everything to try to accomplish absolutely everything. It means that we go through a process of setting and defining our highest priorities, right? That's our time budget, our sales goals, the impact we want to have in the world. Those are the results we're fighting for. And then we are so focused and disciplined. We are so sort of committed to the idea that how we spend our time and our money and our energy, our actions, must be aligned to those priority outcomes. And so this is really all in the category of talking about the idea of mindset as a muscle. And as it says here on this page, even if you have the right plan, it's critical to build a strong mindset muscle so that you can continuously optimize your actions and pursue your goals. I'll just give a shout out. This is Melody Bissell. She's a silver. She's had a silver account for 16 years. So you can imagine all the changes she's seen over those years in the platform, in the features, in our sophistication, in our ability to help you guys and support your goals. But she was actually, I do a small talk episode every week on LinkedIn Live, and she was my guest last week. And we were talking about how she's managed to be so consistent for 16 years. I mean, it's really a phenomenal feat. And she's grown her business from, well under 50,000 to over $1 million in revenue in those years, not with like one big sale, but by growing it year over year over year. She is sort of the model of focused, consistent, continuous improvement. Mindset as a muscle. And what she said on the LinkedIn Live episode, the small talk episode, is that really it comes from actually having some imposter syndrome, feeling like she doesn't know what she's doing, or maybe she doesn't have what it takes to succeed. And so being really, really, really open to learning and accountability. And as I said to her, I don't want her to feel like an imposter, but if she can use that feeling to fuel a large appetite to learn always, right? To never think she's got it all figured out, and to accept accountability, to accept outside structure and support, that's amazing. So we're going to try and model Melody today, all of us, and we're going to ask ourselves, how do we build this strong mindset so that we can consistently take the right actions? This is what the I will day is all about. The I will day is about creating time and space to make sure you're taking the right actions, to make sure that when you spend your time and your money and your energy, it is in alignment with your highest priorities. When we do that over and over and over again, we close more sales. And when we close sales that are in alignment with our values, we ultimately live in the silver standard, which is that we hit our goals and we are the owner of profitable and sustainable businesses with a strong mindset and a strong impact. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. Now, there's 4 SLAP habits. And even though the platform is called silver, the methodology is still called SLAP. So we're going to still call these our SLAP habits. So the first one is to say no. Every time someone asks you for a minute of your time or $1 of your money, you ask yourself, who, what, scale. You align the decision about spending your time or money against your silver statement. So who, will my ideal client be there, or will this give me an opportunity to connect with them? What can I do or talk about what I do in that space, in that room, in that opportunity? And scale. Does this opportunity have the same reach as my scale? If I'm building my business on a global scale, is it a global opportunity? If I'm building my business on a regional scale, is it in my region? So the first SLAP habit, which we're not going to spend a lot of time on today, but is to say no, is actually to learn how to say no. Because the reality is, when you look at most of the ways that you're spending your time and your money, or most of the requests that we get for our time and our money, they're not aligned with our who, what, and scale. And so when they're not, we simply say no. Not because you're mean, not because you're bad, not because you're failing, because it's not the best use of your time and your money. SLAP habit number 2 is to audit your calendar. We talked about this a lot last month, which is we have 168 hours in a week. All of us must use those hours and align them to our highest priorities, and then to constantly live in this habit of auditing our calendar. This is where we want our time to go. Where did it really go? And the idea here is that every single one of us has unique priorities and realities. And so all of our time budgets will be unique to our realities, our goals, our ambitions, our priorities, our responsibilities, our lifestyles. But what we want to do is not necessarily have the right time budget. We want to make sure that we are actually implementing the time budget that we've set. So we do that by auditing our calendars. We're going to spend all of our time here talking about I will days. So I'm just going to go to slap habit number 4, and then we're going to hang out in number 3. Slap habit number 4, we talked about this again a lot at Silver Lining, is to actually learn the habit of getting unstuck. When we start to get stuck, when we live in action frenzy or planning paralysis for too long, we will start to say things like, I'm too busy. When we feel too busy, it's always because of a lack of clarity and focus. The solution to that is to go do a calendar audit, to go get your time back into alignment with your time budget. If you don't do that, or if we don't do that, if I don't do that, we become overwhelmed. When we're too busy for too long and we lose our clarity and focus, and our time starts to get pulled in a million directions, and we say yes to everything instead of no, we become overwhelmed. And that's because we typically take on so much that we create unrealistic goals. So the solution is to get unstuck. It's to go back to our goals and to re-clarify them, reorganize ourselves, and get back into reality so that the time and the money that we do have is pursuing an outcome that is realistic and viable. Now, if we don't do that, if we stay in overwhelm chasing unrealistic goals for too long, we sink into stuck stage 3. And that is called I've lost my passion. That is when you walk around saying, ugh, I just feel like I'm exhausted and overwhelmed, and I don't even feel passionate about what I'm doing anymore. And I used to wake up with a pep in my step, and now I just feel like this is a drain. The root issue of that is, you, as I always say, you can't lose your passion. It doesn't walk away, but you are probably exhausted. And when you are exhausted, it is impossible to access that part of you that is passionate and energetic because you're just tired. So the intervention is a vacation. If you don't do those interventions when you're exhausted, you'll end up in stuck stage 4, which is I want to quit. That's what you'll start to say. I want to quit. I don't even think this is worth it anymore. I want to get out of here. I'm just going to go get a job, which all of us feel sometimes. Actually, I can say I've never felt that way. I have definitely cycled through stuck stage 1, 2, 3 over and over again, but I've gotten good at interventions, thankfully. And so I haven't got all the way to stuck stage 4 in my 20 years of business, but many of us do. It's a very common place to arrive. When we get to stuck stage 4, you don't really want to quit. That's not true. But it probably means that after an extended period of time of being busy and overwhelmed and exhausted and not feeling passionate, you've ended up out of alignment. A whole bunch of the wrong decisions, little teeny tiny micro decisions, spending your time and your money and your energy in the wrong ways, have gotten you to the place where you're out of alignment with that original clarity that your plan, that your slap built for you. And so the answer when you want to quit is to go all the way back to the beginning. Build your plan from scratch. Realign your mindset, your profit, and your impact goals. Build a plan you're excited about. Say no to everything that's gotten in the way. Release overcommitment. Resign and decline things, and get back on track. Now, the I will days are the answer to a lot of this. The I will days are the idea. This is the habit that we'd love for you to create in your life. And let me explain how it works, and then we're going to open it up for conversation. So slap habit number 3 is the thing that the goal would be, by the way, and let me just show you guys this in order again. The goal would be that if you are really good at saying no, right, you vet all requests or commitments of your time and money against your who, what, and scale, and you say no to things that are not aligned. You do a calendar audit on a weekly basis, and you constantly retweak how you're spending your time to make sure it matches your time budget, your priorities. And you do an I will day once a month to catch what's fallen through the cracks of, where you maybe said yes when you shouldn't have, and when you spend your time and your money on things that are not in alignment with your time budget. Your I will day is the place to catch all those mini micro mistakes, or maybe we'll call them micro bad choices that you've made throughout the month. The reason this is so powerful is that when you do an I will day really rigorously, really kind of religiously, I'll use the word, you don't get stuck. It allows for you to get out of stuck stage one on a monthly basis. And so the reason you move to stuck stage two is you stay in I'm too busy for too long. But if you do an I will day every single month, it means that if you got into stuck stage one that month, you will get yourself out of stuck stage one by the end of this day. And so the I will day, if you think of this as a flow, these 4 habits, the first habit is a practice we want to be in every minute of every day. Your calendar audit is a weekly practice of doing a calendar audit and realigning your time back to your time budget. The monthly I will day is a monthly practice, a monthly habit. And all 3 of these habits are meant to try to help us pay attention to making sure that we're spending our time and our money in alignment with our goals, in alignment with the results that we want to accomplish. And we make that choice. We bring those things into alignment every single time we make a decision, which is probably like 25 times a day, at the end of every week, and at the end of every month. If you're living in these three slap habits, if you're making these choices 25 times a day and you're realigning yourself to your priorities once a week and you're doing an I will day to catch everything that you didn't get quite right throughout the month, you probably are not going to work your way through the stages of stuck. If you don't do those 3 slap habits, then you will get stuck. And you will start to work your way through the stages. And so that last habit is learning how to do an intervention on yourself. But if you can build these practices into your life, your chance of getting stuck and becoming overwhelmed, being exhausted and wanting to quit goes down dramatically. So that's why we want you to do this. Think of it as like a preventative measure. It's like being healthy before so you don't get sick, as opposed to getting sick and then having to go to the doctor to fix it. These are the healthy practices that allow for us to not get stuck. This is what thriving looks like. This is what being in flow looks like. This is what using our time and our money to move towards our goals looks like, as opposed to not doing these habits and then being busy, overwhelmed, exhausted, and wanting to quit. So this is the antidote to arriving at stages of stuck. Now, how does an I will day work? It is ridiculously simple. So you literally do these steps. First, you block an 8-hour uninterrupted time slot on a monthly recurring basis. So if you're serious about this, I'd say open your calendar right now. And you really need, I would say you could cheat and do like 5 hours, but 8 is where real magic happens. So the more time, the better. You need to be uninterrupted. And I mean this for real. So no kids walking in the room, no partners asking for something, no client call in the middle that you just squeeze in, no quick errand you have to run. Enough time for your brain to get into like the zone of focus, enough time and space for you to sort of do an intervention on the relentlessness of being a busy business owner and a busy human. And just creating this like luxury of space for your brain to calm down, your body to calm down, and for you to be able to think more strategically. You need to find a space that is outside of your normal working area. So if you always work in a closet next to your living room, or if you always work at the kitchen table, or if you always have a co-working space you go to that you work at, don't go there. You want to literally trick your brain into feeling like it's in a different context. So you want to go somewhere different. Maybe there's a super cozy coffee shop you love that you could just park yourself in for 8 hours. Maybe there's a bookstore in your community that you could be at. Maybe there's a community center. Maybe you can rent a little room in another friend's office. Maybe you could go hang out in a house of a friend of yours who's on vacation if their house is empty. I don't care where you go, but you want to get out of your regular space. You want your brain to think, oh, I'm doing something different right now. If you can go to the same space every month, that's amazing. If you can sort of get yourself to your place where your brain sees yourself in your I will space, it will get quicker into the mode of doing your I will work. So your space matters in this context because you're showing yourself and you're training your body and your brain that this is a different mode it needs to be in than your regular minute by minute frenzy of life. Then you inform everyone. So when I do my I will days, I message my family, I message my team, and I message my partner Mike, and I just say, for the next 8 hours, I will not be available. And I turn my phone into airplane mode so that I'm not getting buzzes and dings and notifications. And every couple of hours, I check if I have a text message. So I let everyone know that they can text me if they really need me. In those 8 hours, I do not open my email. I do not open my notifications of our work system. I do not get, I spend a lot of energy trying to make sure that I don't get hijacked by urgency so that I can stay strategic. As I mentioned, my phone is in airplane mode. I get myself some fun, healthy snacks. So one of the things that I really believe in is having work parties, is what I call it. If I've got a really big thing I need to do and I need to like get my brain into the mode of getting excited about it instead of procrastinating or dreading it or feeling like it's too hard, I have a work party. And usually when I have a work party, I get myself like my favorite snacks so that it feels like it's a treat. So I give myself a little teeny tiny inexpensive treat. I'll play music just for myself. Me, myself, and I will have music on in the background, music that like pumps me up and makes me excited. And that's usually it. That's my work party. But it's like I get my healthy snacks, I put some music on, and now this is for me. I'm in a zone where I'm like doing things in the way I like. And I'm reminding myself by doing that, like, I can like my job. I'm the CEO of my own company. How lucky am I? How amazing is it that I get to build this business and think strategically about it and eat snacks I love and listen to music I love? And so I give myself a little spark of joy so that when I'm coming to this work, I'm coming to it from a place of like kind of a little fun as opposed to like, uh-oh, now I gotta do my I will day. So I make sure that my energy for my I will day matches the assignment. And then I have 5 colors of Post-it notes and a pen. That is the tool you need. That is the only tool you need is 5 colors of Post-it notes. So you can go to any small business, ideally, corner store, stationery store, and you just got to buy a little packet pass of Post-it notes, but you need 5 different colors. So now you're in a space. Everyone has left you alone. They know you're not available. Your phone is off. Your notifications are off. Nothing is dinging or buzzing or beeping or anything. You have some we have our healthy snacks. We've got some music on in the background. We've got our Post-it notes and our pen. And then this is literally what you do. You go find all of the to-dos you've said, all the commitments you've said. Your phone's in airplane mode, so you can use your phone. You can create calendar invites. You can look at how everything has been happening in your life, and you can start to put every single thing that you have done in your life onto one Post-it note. Every single thing you've committed to, every single thing you've been spending your time on, every single thing that's been taking your energy, every single commitment you've made, everything that is happening in your life, and you put it on one Post-it note. Now, you're going to color code your Post-it notes. So I use green for reprioritize because green is go in my brain. I put blue for delegate because blue's sort of like a nice color. That means I can give it to somebody else. I put yellow in delay. Yellow is my fun color. And so I put delay because in my brain, I'm trying to trick myself to say, if I delay this, I'll have more time for fun now. So that's how I think about my delay. I put orange in apologize because I hate having to call someone and say, I'm so sorry that I committed to this. I can't do it. I apologize. So that's my orange. It's like, oh, Carissa, look at what happens when you keep saying you can do things that you can't do. That's bad. And then red is delete. Red is just bad. Why did I say I was going to do that thing? Why did I commit to it? Delete it. Don't do it. That is an absolute disaster. What was I thinking? Stop it. So green is good. Do more of it. Blue is nice. It has to be done, but somebody else can do it. Delegate. Lovely. Blue zone. Delay is get that. We're going to do this eventually, but not now. So I can open up more time and space in my life for fun. Yellow. Orange is apologize. On my way to red, why did I do that? This sucks. Ugh, orange. I don't want lots of those. Delete is red. What the F, Carissa Reiniger? Why did you say you would do that? What a waste of time and energy. This has nothing to do with your goals. Like, what is wrong with you? Red, red, red alert. Okay, so I take up to 2 hours where I look at every single thing that was on my calendar for the last month. I look at every single thing that's on my to-do list, or my I will list, as I call it. I look at all the things. I spend enough time thinking, like, what am I worried about? What's on my mind? And I put all those things down. And as I look at each of these things that is taking my time and my money and my energy, I thoughtfully ask myself, okay, this thing that I'm thinking of, or that I see, or that I'm doing, should I reprioritize it? Could somebody else do it? It does have to happen, but could it be delayed? Oh my God, I shouldn't have said yes. I have to apologize to this person. I feel terrible. What was I thinking? This is just dumb. Just stop doing this. And over the course of a couple of hours, my Post-it note piles grow. Now, can you imagine which pile gets the biggest, the fastest? It's not reprioritize. And that is a sign for all of us as we see it physically happening. The things that are actually our highest priorities, there's not that many of them. We don't have to be so bloody busy. We don't have to be so overwhelmed. So you end up with a relatively small pile of things that are your reprioritize list. Then you end up with a pile of things that are delegate. Now, the things that are delegate, let's just talk about this list for a minute, is everything that actually you don't have to do. So even if you don't have the person to delegate to, you still put it in the delegate pile. And I'm going to come back and tell you what we do with that pile in a second. The delay pile is just joyful. It's so fun. Okay, great. These are all things that I'm going to do eventually, but not now. No actions really needed. I'm just going to move them back on my to-do list. I'm going to put them on a parking lot. I'm just going to move them out of the way so I don't have to take up any space with them. Easy. That's like a fun pile. That's an easy pile. You'll be astounded at how many things you can delay. When you say, do I need to do this, but is it really time sensitive? Could I do it later? You can do a lot of things later. The delay pile is a lot of fun. Great. The delay pile just keeps moving. Okay. The apologize pile sucks. I always, no matter how disciplined and focused I am, no matter how many years I've been the CEO of Silver Lining, no matter how many times I train this, no matter how many times I do an I will day, I always end up with about 10 apologize post-its. It's always about 10, maybe sometimes 8, maybe sometimes 12. It seems to always be about 10 for me. I don't know why. That seems to be my apologize budget. And that is where I've said to somebody, shh, I'll make that connection for you. Yes, I'll read your materials as a gift for you. Yes, I can do this deal with you. Sure, I'll buy this thing from you. Sure, I'll go speak for free at this thing. It's just all the things I do because my heart is big and I want to help. But the reality is that I can't help everyone and also accomplish the goals that I own and be responsible to our collective, to my team, to my customers, to my family. And so those are tough. And I sit and I apologize, and I'll explain how you guys do that in a second with that pile. And then the delete pile, you'll be surprised at how much you can simply just remove or cancel. You know, maybe you were going to go to a networking event and you realize, actually, I don't have to go to that. Delete. Maybe you were committed to like baking something for a friend's birthday and you could actually just show up without cupcakes and no one would care. Delete. Maybe you were going to like send 27 emails to old clients giving them an update on your payment system. Delete, right? There's a lot of things we think we need to do that we actually can just delete. Okay. So now we've got our piles. Let's talk about, and that's, let's say it takes us about 2 hours to build our piles, thoughtfully building our piles. Now we go to work. So let's go from easiest to hardest. So the ones you delete, you literally just delete. Most of the time, you don't have to tell anyone. Take it out of your calendar, take it off your list, just remove it. Fun. So start with all the deletes because that's going to open up mental energy. Gone. Then go to your delays. And figure out if you have a project management system you use, change the due dates. One of my tricks on delay is that I take all deadlines off my delays. So we do use project management systems at Silver Lining. If I move something into delay, I take the due date off of it, meaning there is no pressure on me now. It's sitting in my backlog. I want to get back to it. It's got to happen eventually, but there is not a due date on it. If and when it becomes my highest priority, I will reprioritize it, but it's not today. So I move it into my backlog and I take all assumptions or literal deadlines off of it so that it is in the no stress space. So now what I've done is I've energetically and psychologically, I have freed up all my deletes and all my delays, both on my calendar and on my to-do list, most importantly in my mind. I have created space. sometimes when we get stuck and we have a hard time getting our highest priorities done, it's just because there's so much to do that our brain can't find the space to do the thing that we're totally capable of doing. So what we're trying to do is, by dealing with our deletes first and then our delays, we're physically, literally opening up space in our mind to go do the things that are the most important. Now, we go tackle the apologize. The apologize, the reason we do them next is because it sucks. I don't think I've ever met any human on the face of the planet who likes to call or email someone and apologize. I have a template for this email because I find it so terrible to write, and I have so much like sadness and anger at myself and like worry that people are going to hate me, that I hate writing these apology emails. So my apology email template is basically, hi, fill in the blanks name. How are you? I hope this finds you well. I really value you, and I really enjoyed the last time we communicated, connected, talked. So I reaffirmed that I love them, which I always do. I really love all the people that I would have made a commitment to. Um, I am in the middle of doing an I Will Day, and I explained what it is. It is a practice that we teach our entire community to do, where we look at our priorities and our goals, and then the reality of our capacity, our time, our money, our energy, and we realign our actions to our results. I made this commitment to you, and I type in what the commitment is. And the reality is, I should not have done that. I am so sorry. I just do not have the capacity, the time, the money, or the energy to do that thing. I really want to, and I feel horrific writing this email. I hope you will understand. If you want to talk about it, let me know. Actually, I always say that, but then I pray to God they don't want to talk about it because I don't have any time. It's on my apologize list. I've got to put my time into my highest priorities. If you need to discuss, let me know. I hope that in the future we can connect on things and I can be more helpful to you. Carissa, please always feel free. I think I always end with like, please always feel free to reach out, ask for what you need, tell me how I can support you. Hopefully I'll get through this crazy time. And I send that to every single person on my apologize list. And it kills me every single time. It hurts my heart. It hurts my soul. I feel like a loser. Every time I send it, I think to myself, oh my God, I'm going to stop making commitments I can't deliver on because I never want to send an apology email again. And then the next I have 10 more somehow. And no matter how much I try, I always do it. So this is not something we solve about ourselves. It's something we learn how to manage about ourselves. That's the power of an I Will Day. Now, imagine how good you're going to feel about 3.5 hours in, where you have looked at everything that's true. You have deleted and delayed all the things that you don't have to think about. You've got those apologies off your chest, which opens up so much energetic energy once it's done. During sending them, I feel terrible. Once they're sent, I feel like a weight has come off my shoulders. I am so relieved. Now, think about the energy that is left for the next 4.5 hours to delegate and reprioritize. Now we're doing the work we're meant to do as business owners. Now we're doing the things that matter. So you go to your delegate list next. Your delegate list, you now take all the Post-it notes and you divide it into 2 categories. Okay, so you take all your Post-its, one category you look at and you say, okay, I have somebody I can delegate this to. I have a husband who can do one of the school drop-offs. I have an assistant who can do this administrative task. I have an advisor who could help me with this thing. I have people in my life that can do this thing, and I will delegate it to them. And then you look at all the things that really somebody else could or should do, but you don't have that person in your life, and you put that on a different pile. Okay. Now, the ones that you do have the people in your life, that's easy. You start doing emails. So now you take a bit of time and you email all those people and you delegate these tasks to them. You put it into project management tools, you send an email, you send a task. Hey, I need to hand this to you. 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 And you hand stuff off. The ones that you don't have people for, this is where your strategic thinking comes in. This exposes trends in who your next hire might need to be. This exposes trends in where maybe your marriage is lopsided and you need to have a therapist help you get your marriage into better boundaries. This is where you discover that you are caretaking and you're doing the job of a nurse instead of a daughter or a son or a parent. And it's not reasonable. It's not sustainable. This is where you discover that actually you pay someone to do something, but you don't trust them to delegate the things they should be doing. and you have to put your big girl or boy pants on and think about replacing an employee that's underperforming. That list of things that you don't have someone you trust to do exposes where you need to get to work. And the work you need to do is not to do the thing. It's to make sure you've got the right support structure in your life, the right staff delivering in the right ways, the right relational boundaries, the right support structure, personal and professional. And this is where I make all of my most strategic, clear-headed decisions about maybe employees I need to put into performance management, critical hires that I need to make because it's so obvious the skill set that I need. And by the way, that post-it note list becomes the job description, right, of the next hire you might need. Where I need to have a come to Jesus moment with someone in my personal life to say something's, off kilter, the boundaries aren't right. We got to like realign how we're all doing this together. But that's where I start to get really strategic about how I, as a CEO, don't just do everything, but make sure I am getting the right team in place around me. Could be paid team, volunteer team, family, the whole crew, to get things done right. That's where you're actually going to spend most of your time in your I will day. And you can see why I say you need 8 hours, because you need space for all of this. You need time to actually think about it and then action it. Sometimes on my delegate, I'll literally initiate a performance management process for a team member because I'll realize, oh, I am holding a lot of this person's work even as I pay them to do it. Okay, we got to solve that. I'll write a job description and I'll initiate a hiring process for someone because it's so clear we have a gap in our team and we need to hire them. I'll think about building an advisory person into my life who can help me with problems that seem to be recurring that someone else knows how to solve. I'll send emails asking people for help and seeing if anyone says they can. I'll ask to talk to a friend. I'll put the things in place to deal with the delegation items I have to deal with. And then for the last couple of hours, the items that are on my reprioritize post-its, the reprioritize list, you just get to work. You try to get as many of them done as you can. You do a work session and you finish the proposal. You send the highest priority email. You write the spec that's been waiting on for you. You update the client report. And whatever you can't get done by the end of the I will day, you go and you calendar block those reprioritization items into your calendar over the next 30 days because you've just spent a whole lot of good strategic thinking time understanding what your highest priorities are. Now we've got to action them. And so you don't just say, well, that was a nice exercise and now I know my priorities. Your last assignment of your I will day is to take your reprioritize items and put them into your calendar so that over the course of the next month, your highest priorities are actually time blocked into your calendar. And whatever you didn't get done in your I will day, you have blocked into your calendar. And then here's your big finale. If you don't trust yourself to do those reprioritized items, if you think that you'll get sidetracked or you'll let a client call override or you'll get distracted, if you don't trust yourself to get your reprioritize items done, then you invite someone else into the calendar invite for accountability. That could be a silver expert. This is the beauty of being part of the silver lining community. You've got your accountability partners. So you add someone from our team onto that calendar invite, and we will show up to that call and we will make sure you are there so that you have accountability to show up to that work block in your calendar. Maybe you build an accountability partner. You find a silver buddy and you guys do your work blocks together so that you have to show up. But one of the greatest risks we all have is that we'll set that time block and then we won't actually do it. And that's how our highest priorities don't get done. So the final big finale, the silver confetti on top of it all, would be that you add an accountability person into that calendar block. So someone logs into a Zoom room and sees if you were there and says, okay, I see on the calendar block, you're here to accomplish this reprioritize item. Are you ready? Right? And you could have someone sit there and body double with you, or you could have someone come back at the end of the block and ask if you got it done, but you invite accountability, right? You invite somebody there to hold that space and time for you, not because you don't know how to do what you need to do, but because all of us, our instinct will be to do something else instead of that highest priority. It's just the truth. So that is how we do a robust I will day. And that is how we are really organized about making sure We make the choices we need to make to not end up stuck, to not become busy for a sustained period, so that we become overwhelmed, so that we then get exhausted and lose our passion, so that we then want to quit. If you want to quit, you've made a series of choices to arrive there. That means you can make a series of different choices to stay in flow, to align your time and your money and your energy against the results that you own, to be high performing, as opposed to burnt out, exhausted, underperforming, and wanting to quit. So these are micro choices we all make every day. But the I Will Day is this magical monthly practice to basically protect ourselves from ourselves. The last thing I'll say, and then we'll open it for questions, so start getting your questions ready, is that I built this methodology. I designed the I Will Day structure. I wrote a book on it. I teach this to all of you guys every single week for 20 years of my life. I am a highly disciplined person. And yet, I have to apologize 10 times every month. And yet, there's things I commit to that I have to delete. And yet, there's tons of things I take on that I should be delegating. And yet, I don't get my highest priorities done all the time. And so, none of us are going to get perfect at this. The pursuit is not perfection. The pursuit is acceptance of our humanness, the reality that it's hard to be this focused and disciplined all the time. And the I Will Day is just our catch-all. It's a friendly moment in our month to say, okay, let's create space for our humanness. And let's create enough space in our life to get back on track, to constantly get back on track. And this is a habit that we all need for the rest of our lives. The months I do an I Will Day, the next month is a good month. The months I don't do my I Will Day, the next month is chaotic and I don't get as much done and I'm less productive. So it is a practice. It is like working out. It is something that we need to do forever, always. But when we do it, it's actually full of grace. It's full of this acceptance of we're going to make all sorts of little tiny bad choices throughout the month. And once a month, we just get ourselves back on track. No big deal. What is a big deal is if we never get ourselves back on track. And then as a result of that, we end up stuck. All right, everybody. The name of the game is truth, reality, grace, and alignment. Those things add up to the consistency and the focus and the discipline so that we can take our time and our money and our energy and spend it only in the most maximized, optimized ways so that we can get to the outcomes that matter to us. And the mission in all of this is that every single person in this room and every single person in our global community on every continent except for Antarctica, which we're going to fix one day so I can just say every continent with all these disclaimers, but our mission is that every single person in our global community, we are all together growing our time, our money, and our impact. And imagine a world where thousands of small business owners around the world are growing our time and our money and our impact together. We change the world. We change the economy. We change the world. So that's what we're going to do. So your I Will Day is the first step, all of us together in getting to that level of alignment so that we can make this big system change we all crave together. All right, my friends. Thank you, guys. See you soon.